Hey guys, what is up? It is Dangeles, and in this video I am going to be giving you guys a creative guide towards the brand new update, Title Update 31 for console Minecraft. So this video is going to be some basic tips on how to use some of the new features in creative mode to help you build your cities and your towns or whatever you're building. And obviously this update just came out, so this is kind of just like initial ideas. Obviously I'm going to come up with more ideas as time go by, but these are some basic stuff that I thought of right off the bat. So let's jump into it. I'm going to be using the city texture pack for this, since that's the the world I use for my creative builds here in Los Dangeles. So I'm going to base these off the city. Obviously most of these, not all of them, but most of them will work in other texture packs as well. So let's jump right into it. This first one's actually a little bit more based off of the city texture pack. So I'm here at my fire station, and using the new armor stands feature, I can actually hang up golden armor and it looks like hanging fire suits. So initially I just put them on the item frames right here, but now what I can do is I can place a couple of armor stands right next to it. I can place some boots, and I can place some pants and some chest plates, and then finally some helmets, and boom, I have some fire suits on display. So instead of, obviously that looks way better than hanging them on the item frame. So that's just one feature that I could add. I think that's really awesome. So continuing with the idea of armor stands, I can also use them for the hospital. So I'm going to go inside of the emergency room space, which isn't 100% done yet, but you kind of get the idea. And what I can do is I can also make some armor stands for the doctor's suits, I guess the doctor's clothes, which is the diamond set in the city texture pack. So again, I love this feature. I think this is a little bit specific to the city, so this might not necessarily work in the default or other texture packs, but for the city texture pack, this just adds so much cool detail to my world, and I can kind of make like a little closet or something like that in the hospital that has all these clothes, and kind of like, I guess they're like the scrubs, I guess you could say. So really cool feature using the armor stands. You can use those in a bunch of different ways. So I can also use them, let's say I want to make like a clothing store, I can have like this stuff here, so I can have like some nice suits and ties and things like that, also some leather stuff. So that's going to be really cool to implement onto the world as I go along. So that's a great use for armor stands. Let's move on to some other stuff. So we're here at the Alpine Mansion, and I'm just going to try to implement some new flowers and some new decorations to the game. So the Alpine Mansion in the front yard, the landscaping is basically just a bunch of spruce leaves just kind of spread all over the place. Now what I can do is I can start to implement some of this new stuff here and just make the place look just that much better. Let me grab some lilacs as well. So now what I can do is I can kind of come in and place some tall grass in here. I can mix in some large ferns, and you can do this for pretty much any build like you can think of. Like honestly, anything that you're building, you can implement this kind of stuff and it's going to look really nice. So I'm going to put in some peonies here. We'll try to kind of place these all over the place and add a few more ferns, maybe some lilacs. We'll put a couple of those. And I'm just really going to spam the tall grass because I'm actually a big fan of this. I like using this a lot. So let's go ahead and come back over here, place a few more. We're going to have to mix in some red in here as well. So let's go ahead and grab some rose bushes, put a couple more of those in here, maybe one right there, and one right there, and one right there. And just like that, it just kind of, spruces up the landscape, makes everything look much more decorated. And if I take a step back here, you can kind of see how that left side is just so much more detailed than the right side just by adding that simple little feature. So the flowers are an awesome feature to the game, probably one of my favorite features for creative. And the tall flowers aren't the only flowers we can take advantage of. We also have the smaller ones like the daisies and the orchids and stuff like that. So basically I don't have to use like just ferns anymore to put flower pots inside of my houses or my builds. So I can put a daisy down, I can put an orchid down if I want. Up here on this shelf, I can put down a red tulip. And then over here, let's say I'm going to put down some other stuff. So, I mean, the point is, you can really go all out now with the flowers in the interior, and you can make your room so much more colorful. Normally, in the city texture pack, I just use either ferns or maybe like a sapling from time to time. But now I can really go all out and just use a bunch of different kinds of flowers, which is an awesome feature. All right, guys, I really think you're going to like this next tip. So what I'm going to do is I'm actually going to build the trampoline using the brand new slime blocks. This is a cool feature. So what I'm going to do for this, I'm just going to build a small one. It doesn't need to be very big. So I'm going to try to do like a 3x3 frame. It's going to be like the exact same frame as like a portal to the end. So something like that. And then what I'm going to do is add some slime blocks in the middle there. We'll do some anvils, kind of hold this thing up. And this is just a basic trampoline design. You can make these a lot larger if you want. But the really cool thing about this is, obviously I can bounce on it right now with the slime like this. I can bounce on it all I want, but the really cool feature that makes this awesome is you can actually put carpet on top of slime blocks and you can still bounce on top of it. So that's something that I'm not sure how many of you guys knew about, but really cool feature, and that can turn into an actual usable trampoline that actually lets you bounce. So again, this is probably one of my favorite things that you can build for the new update. I'd recommend putting those in your backyards of your houses for the kids to play on. So definitely a cool thing right there. Love that feature. So I'm working on strip mall here, and I have some wreaths on my strip mall because I'm trying to make it like the festive for the, you know, Christmas time of year. And if you want to make some cool looking wreaths, actually the Acacia Leaves in the City Texture Pack are a really nice use for them. So I'm going to switch out my spruce leaves here for some Acacia Leaves, and I think it upgrades these wreaths and make them look a lot better. So as you can see, there's that wreath as opposed to that one over there. I think that looks a lot more like a wreath with that particular leaf. So just a small little tip for you guys, really just for this time of year, but I thought I'd throw it in anyway. Guys, real quick, I just wanted to mention that in the overview video I did, I completely forgot about the prismarine bricks. I guess I just must have missed them in the inventory, so I apologize for that, but these are what they look like in the City Texture Pack in case you are wondering. Anyway, back to the video today. So normally when you use dirt blocks, right, and you put them near grass blocks, they actually have to kind of put a border around them because they will turn back into grass if you don't have a border around them like this. So usually when I do something like this, I'll put some stone and then some pressure plates around it just so it won't turn back into grass. But now with the brand new coarse dirt, you can actually just place down this coarse dirt. It doesn't look too much different than the regular dirt, and you actually don't have to place a border around it. It will stay as coarse dirt. It won't turn back to grass. So that's just a small little tip you can use. And if you're putting in some sort of greenery or shrubbery on your houses, you can actually switch out dirt for podzol if you want. Now this might not work in certain houses, like for example, this spot that I'm doing it right here might not be the best spot for it since it really isn't, like, there aren't really a lot of trees above here that make that look like autumny, and kind of looks like the ground during the fall. So what you can do is you can have, like, I don't know, leaves falling from a tree, and you could have these blocks kind of randomly placed on the ground, and it will kind of create like a little autumn theme. So that's another feature you can use podzol for, but ultimately you can use this for mulch if you want. I don't know if it's a great way to do it in the City Texture Pack just because the way the texture looks, but in the default texture pack it works pretty good for mulch because it's a little bit of a darker color. So that would be my way of using podzol right off the bat. So if you're like me, you're probably a big fan of using quartz in Minecraft, and I've been using quartz in the City Texture Pack a ton because it looks really nice. But if you're getting bored of quartz, you can use polished diorite as a pretty good alternative. It's a similar looking block in terms of like the texture on it, but it's actually a little bit whiter. So polished diorite, I would say, is a pretty damn good alternative to quartz. If you're feeling like you're getting bored of quartz or you're using too much of it, you can use this, and that's a pretty good way to kind of just mix it up a little bit in terms of the block choice. Okay, just a couple more tips for you guys. If you're getting bored of using light blue wool, or if you're getting bored of using light blue stained clay, packed ice is a pretty good alternative. And the cool thing about packed ice, obviously you can't see through it, so it's not transparent like regular ice. And it also does not melt if you put any light source near it. So as you can see right here, this is how it looks right here as opposed to the wool. So I think packed ice is actually a pretty good alternative for any kind of blue block in the game. And it's actually a pretty good building block for certain houses and things like that. So I'd actually highly recommend this if you're looking to choose a different block to build a house with. As you can see, it looks pretty nice, right? So packed ice is a pretty cool building block in this game, kind of underrated since it's ice, obviously. So let's move on to a couple more tips for you guys. Alright guys, my last tip for this creative guide for TU31 is kind of a simple one, but I think it's actually a little bit useful if you're a city builder like myself. So if you're running some sort of jewelry shop in the city, or something like that, or like a bank where you're holding like valuable items, what you can do is actually put down some item frames, and you can put the brand new prismarine crystals in them, which actually look like some sort of valuable. So you can either have those like on display behind glass in like a jewelry store, or like I said, put them in a vault somewhere, and that would be pretty cool. So obviously they're not a block you can place on the ground, but if you put them in an item frame, they actually do look like they're pretty valuable. So that's kind of like my last tip for you guys here on this initial creative guide for TU31, the brand new update, which is basically like 1.8 on PC Minecraft. It's a great update for creative and for survival, and these are just some basic tips to start you off for your first few builds of the new update. And obviously I'm going to have plenty more tips for you guys as I go along, like during CLD episodes and things like that. Obviously, I think it goes without saying that like any of these new blocks in the game are perfect for like building new stuff. So like the polished granite and the polished andesite are great for building new buildings and things like that. That goes without saying. So that's pretty much it for today's video, guys. Thank you very much for watching this creative guide to TU31. I am Danlags. Thank you very much for watching, guys. Give this video a like if you did enjoy it. Again, many more TU31 videos on the way. Hopefully you guys enjoyed it. I'll see you on the next one. Give it a like if you did, and peace out.